Hey everyone, thought we'd just do a quick run through the patch. I'm sure a lot of you have already read this, but yeah, just drop my thoughts on what's going on here. Look, I'll be honest, I think the last 1v1 ranked game I played was 2 months ago. Yeah, I've been having a tough time with this game, so I just moved away from it, right? I just got out of the balance Discord, stopped playing, and that's how I dealt with it. So I know some people have been pushing through and been very vocal about the changes they want, and other people have been happy, yada yada, or whatever. That's great. So yeah, I thought we'll cover this one. Let's see if it's going to save the game, basically. So having a look here. So villagers no longer have their bonus for siege weapons. And then the bonus damage multiplier versus towers increase from 2.5 to 4. Okay, so I mean, yeah, this one I never thought there should have been a multiplier in siege weapons, probably from day one. Always felt kind of rough with the population increase, right? How does a melee siege unit get past an army of 50 units to do anything? And then if it does, a villager fucking two hits it. So yeah, needed to happen. Bonus damage versus towers. We dev note on this, just saying that like we just want to make sure tower rushes aren't gonna become too much. Yeah, cool. I mean, it's not something I've really seen in the game. I personally have taken down maybe 4 or 5 towers in close to a year with villagers. But yeah, obviously the towers are better, so cool. Siege weapons, crush armor increased. Yeah, they're just trying to stop the siege on siege kind of thing going on. Yeah, sure. Not too stressed about that. It just means that whoever has like the strongest, longest siege, it just is a bit oppressive, right? If your catapult's got like more range and everything else, then it's just yeah, you can't kill buildings. Town center attack range reduced from 20 to 18. Now this I think is really really nice. I think they had this on the pup. I can't remember, or this was suggested. I can't remember. I did play the pup, but what it means is the towers are outside of the range. So this is, in my opinion, really nice. It introduces this game of you have to defend your towers, right? And you need to make units or build your buildings or use your villages and micro and do something to defend the towers. Um, and then in turn, if you lose that position, then you have something just to fall back a bit on that has the town center range, right? It's not this just like default. You don't have this like really built position where the town center defends the towers, like a good chess position, right? It's like I can't touch your tower because the TC is defending it, and then you're kind of left with like, how do I start chipping away, right? How do I do some damage? Or even on the other side, from the defender's point, what is it that I have to do to defend? Because right now it's kind of nothing, right? So I like this change. This will be interesting to see where it goes. I'm actually like a huge fan of trialing out no towers and mucking around with that. I'm pretty down to see if anyone in DoD can do some mods and we can muck around and play around with something like that, right? And just see how the games feel. But it's a step in the right direction. Um, Okay, so yeah, containment unit damage reduced. So yeah, just dumping heaps of villagers in your town center is just going to increase the damage less. Fortress type buildings have had their build time increased to compensate for the power. Okay, that's kind of nice. Look, it's just going to be a bit more risk to get the fortress up. So if people are greedy to get a fortress up and not to make units, right? There's a longer period of time in which you can come in and you can slaughter as villagers, right? Or yeah, so nice. I like risk versus reward kind of changes. So these seem decent. These are going in the right direction. Cool. Crenellations. Yeah, I think Cav was just having like a really tough time here. I don't know the numbers. I don't know the math. I'm sure if you go listen to Boyd or somebody else, they're gonna like go through and actually tell you about if that's meaningful. But what we have seen from the devs is that we're pulling back. We're saying, look, Cav, we're just struggling. Let's reduce that multiplier. Watchtower costs increased. Okay, all right. Okay, that's really nice actually. So yeah, another 100 resources to get that upgrade. I like this. Was trying to think of the words to like put this. But basically, if you have 4 or 5 hoplite, say you have 5 hoplite, and your opponent has 5 hoplite, and he's attacking you, well, his 5 hoplite have had to run across the map to get to you, so you should have more. But let's just say we have an even amount. The thing is that if you have 5 hoplite and he has 5 hoplite and you have 1 tower, well, you win, right? So that's the defender's advantage in a nutshell. And I guess the point a lot of more mid to higher level players have been trying to get across to people is that defense being stronger doesn't mean that you just don't get to interact or you just don't get to make units, right? If you're playing like a mirror, and I think this is like where people can learn the most, play a mirror matchup, right? If you're both playing Loki and he turns up to your base with 5 Hursa, it's not, and you can't deal with it and it does damage, it's not because being aggressive is better than being defensive. We know for a fact being defensive is better because you could have 2 more Hursa by the time he walks to you. But also that you can't just skip these units, right? If you play the mirror matchup, you should have the same amount of units and then you have the tower. So therefore your defense should always be better than the attack, and in a really wide brush. So I think people just need to understand this a little bit more, is that what we want to see is like we still want defensive play to exist, but we don't want it to be tuned to the point where aggressive gods or aggressive style gameplay just no longer has a place in the game because you just can't do it, right? And so I urge people who are wanting a more defensive game or something like that to kind of think about those facts, right? And think about, am I actually defending properly? How do I defend? What do I need to defend? Because in my opinion, every god has really good defensive tools, right? Greek, you have your early hero and your myth unit. They're very, very strong. Egyptian, you have priest, pharaoh, myth unit. Atlantean, you have carnivora, shockwave, valor, caladria, right? China, you can have the early pioneers out, etc., right? So everyone has tools to have something. And I think that's what people want to see, is people want to see units being used to attack and defend, and then all of the little games that come off that, the fact that 2 people are interacting with each other. Anyway, we'll move on from that one. Okay, relics. Okay, all right. Building damage reduced. I mean, fair enough. We're getting rid of relic. Okay, looking at the gods. Okay, bronze is reduced by 5 seconds and no longer works on allies. Okay, I've not really been playing team games. I can't really make a call on that. But yeah, obviously it scales pretty crazy. Flaming weapons is working on allies, other things. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe fair enough. Not a team game player. Reducing it from 5 seconds. I mean, this is nice. It's just, that wall you built to run through from bronze. Yeah, so we'll see. I guess it's obviously been too strong. Nemean Lion, attack, stun, and snare duration now scales by 20% in the mythic. Okay, so they're saying the special is scaling with the other stats. Interesting. I guess, yeah, maybe a unit's not being used enough, or Chimera, cost reduce. Yeah, it is quite expensive. I've not seen them being used much. Honestly, Artemis is just like a click Earthquake and get Plague, that like poison damage on your Peltus kind of civ, wasn't there for anything else. So not opposed to that. Myrmidon, heavily reducing train time from all of our fortresses. Similar resource drain rate. Okay, so they got some reason for it. I think what they're saying is that, yeah, you just can't spend your resources enough to make them. We also ran into this issue that Voight speaks about, and that fortress type buildings, right, production buildings as well as fortifications. So yeah, the problem is that if you say that to use these units you need 3 or 4 of them, is to make a game where fortresses are just fucking popping up all over the show, right? So yeah, I kind of get that. Damage reduced, right? Yeah. Okay, building points increased. Yep. So we talked about it before. Longer to build, more risk versus reward to get it up. The damage just been pulled back. Obviously, I don't know all the math on all the arrows and everything and yada yada yada, but yep, they've reduced it. Okay. Empowered building attack interval multiplier reduced from 2. Okay. I think what they're saying is that the empowerment rate that a Pharaoh gives a building, it makes it shoot like more arrows or faster rate. They're just bringing that back because buildings are now stronger. Dark water cost increased from that to that. Sun-dried mud brick. Building points reduction reduced from 25 to 15. Okay, so they're not going to build as fast. Locust has been nerfed a bit. Interesting. Okay, I guess Sobek has been causing issues. I don't know if it's on the Ra side or, I mean, they put it in the Ra side. Oh no, that's just Ra. These are the minor gods, sorry. I don't know if it's on the Ra side or the Isis side. Looking at win rates, I think Isis has been causing a lot of issues. Obviously, Ra's win rates are low, but, you know, nobody cares. If Ra's 34% win rate, Ra is still S tier. So we're not going to talk about that one. This is interesting to me because I don't think people really realize like the strength of camels, or the lack of strength. It depends what you're versing, right? Like camels trade 1-to-1 with Jarls, and that's Ra camels. So if they're not Ra camels, Jarls, like, you know, if you have a ring giver Jarl that's just a normal camel, then like they kind of shit on them. And Dark Water is kind of like something that makes the Jarls and the camels trade even. Yeah, camels are counter cav. And camels are slightly cheaper, I think by like 10 gold. So yeah, kind of interesting. I guess they're saying it's too oppressive, or it's just a bit too easy to get. Yeah, I'm surprised that this has been targeted in all honesty. But fair, okay. I guess we'll see. So the mud bricks, yeah, I guess so, sure, yeah. And the locust, look, I've seen some pretty nasty locusts where it's just doing a bit too much damage in the fights, and that's probably fair. So Force of the West Wind, siege and myth unit damage increased. So they're just reducing. Okay, so they're saying that that segment upgrade is just obviously with increased buildings. So anything that's dealt with buildings a bit better is by proxy being buffed. So we're just toning that one back. Ancestors reducing the duration. Sure. I mean, anytime I see kind of god powers being like reduced, I'm just like I'm kind of on board. I'm a bit sick of them. Scarabs cheaper. Okay, nice. I guess yeah. It looks like they're targeting some of the underused myth units. We saw the lions and the chimera. So yeah, I guess nice to see. I kind of, you know, Scarab is a unit I really like. I find it really interesting. It's quite nice in that you have to get in their face to use it, right? It's not like a Petsugos where it's like, how do I kill this thing, right? It's just killing me from a million miles away. I can't get into his chariot ball, yada yada. The Scarab, you gotta like sling it in there, you know. You gotta say, hey, like I've made a judgment on the game. I'm ready to go. I'm all in. Can this push work? I like it, right? So, and we're not seeing them being used, so it's nice to see this kind of come through. Scorpion Man, yeah, they've been like not super used, so a little hit point increase, sure. Anubis now has a 0.1 bonus damage multiplier versus ox carts to match the multiplier versus villagers. Oh, the serpents, right, yeah. Okay, fair, I guess they're melting ox carts, sure, yeah. Pharaoh empowerment building attack, so yeah, they did the Ra one because it's more than a normal Pharaoh. This is just the normal Pharaoh, as we talked about before. Siege Tower attack interval reduced from 4 to 3.5. Okay, so it's just going to bosh things down a little bit quicker. And they've reduced the crush. Okay, so it's a more consistent damage, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so basically, like, what could happen is, like, you could kill the Siege Tower, like, right before it was, like, about to, like, load up and smack. And then you've heavily, like, reduced its DPS, but by increasing these attack intervals, it's going to have this like more consistent flow of damage. Think of it like an Atlantean villager gathering versus like a Greek villager. You know, if you come and kill an Atlantean villager, it doesn't have resources on it that it's not delivering, right? But if you kill like a Greek villager that's like gathered like 30 food, right? They don't get the food. So yeah. Watchtower cost increase from 100 gold to 100 wood, 100 gold. I don't like this one. I'm going to be completely honest, guys. It's okay. I'm super down on the increase as the wood side of things that I'm finding a little bit weird here. The reason being is that Egyptian kind of has to go out of their way to collect wood. It's done like quite specifically. So this feels a little interesting. I would have expected this to be 200 gold or 175 gold or whatever it is. Remember, Egyptian gather slower. They don't use wood for anything else. And that's kind of been the design of the Civ, and it's what's kind of people play around. If you gold block Egyptian, you hurt them so much more than other Civs, right? They're just so much more reliant on gold. Um, and that's the kind of double-edged sword, right? It's like, hey, like you only have to macro onto like two resources, but at the same time, you need that for everything. You need it for farms. You need it for every single building. So yeah, interesting change. I'm really not commenting on this from a balance perspective. I'm really commenting on this from more of like a design perspective. It just feels out of place. So like I said, down for the cost increase. Don't like the wood. Migdol Stronghold, build points increase, damage, yada yada, cool, same shit. Okay, Ulla, Ring Oath, favor cost. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I do not even know what this upgrade does. Favor cost reduction of Asgardian Bastion reduced from 60 to 50%. Okay, so Asgardian Bastion's gonna be a little more expensive. I think it was 40 favor. Maybe it's going to be like 50 or something now. Okay. A little too spammable, obviously reducing the fortification kind of spam. Bragi, Therusaz Rune. Infinite regeneration, so buffing that. Now also applies to Titans. Very interesting. Okay. Not that we see many Titans, but there you go. Flaming weapons reduced. Okay. Fair. All right. I guess they're toning back a lot of these like big boom kind of god powers. That's fine. Inferno is not going to boss your farms. Beautiful. Einherry cost reduced from 175 gold 15 favor to 150 gold. Cool. A very expensive myth unit. Very slow. Quite difficult to use. I'm always down to see this guy kind of be a little more prevalent. Battle Boar. Man, big buff for the Battle Boar. That's some big hit point increase. So yeah, Loki enjoys here. These two getting a big buff. Pretty cool. Train time reduced on the Fenris Wolves to 12 seconds. Okay, so more targeting these myth units that I guess they feel have been not used, or if the Civ is allowed to use them, it's maybe like an answer to another Civ having lots of myth units as well or something. So I don't know. Hursa, this is actually huge. Sorry, one sec, guys. Yeah, sorry, I'm back now. This is actually huge. So basically, you can have 4 of these out by the time you advance on the pup. This is going to open up a lot of things. I think this is going to change the Norse meta a lot, right? It's going to mean when you advance, you already have 4 units building a town center. Or when you advance, you already have 4 units killing their town center. Or we are bringing back rushes, etc. I think this is a really clever solution. I actually tested this on the pup, and there was a lot of talk on the balance discords, like the Norse issue, right? That you just kind of run a few units at them early, and they've kind of got some Hursa that are counterable, axemen or like archers or something, and they've really easily kind of like messed with at the start, and that has a lot of flow-on effects for what they can do for the rest of the game. And it always felt bad as like a Norse player, where it's like, there's like a Yazi like attacking something, and I would love to make my Great Hall, but I have to deal with this, and you get slowed down really hard. So there was a lot of chat on the Balance Discord about, do we make her not an infantry, or do we do this and do we do that? And then the devs have kind of come along and just been like, 16 seconds train time. And I tested it out and I was like, this actually feels really good. So I'm super excited to see what this looks like in ranked. Like I said, I've only done it on the pup with a few mates of mine. It felt really, really nice, and it seemed to kind of address that early issue that Norse were kind of having. So I like it. Yeah, just sorting out train times in other buildings. Rating cav, okay. So nice one. Okay, they're keeping an eye. Okay, I think they're aware that this could be very spammy. Yeah. With these two together, like this is like for me, Loki, this is such a huge buff because I play like cursor rating cavalry with Loki all the time, and it's a pretty good like unit combination to deal with things, especially early on. So yeah, it obviously it is the economy there just to maintain that. It's very very food heavy. Maybe not. Okay, so but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Y'all train time. Yeah, keeping an eye on it. Fair enough. Huskar reduced again. Okay, they're matching all the others. I mean, Huskar's already got like a big train time reduce when Norse just had an inability to deal with range units. They're doing it again. Cool. I think these changes are massive for Norse. I'm super keen. I'm a Norse main. Look, I play a lot of Loki and Odin, so I'm super down to test this out. I could very much see this all being a bit too much, but we'll see. Obviously, the economy has to match the train time. That might be capping things. Rams get a buff. 10 more crush. Very nice. Build points again. PS armor. Yeah, we've all seen that. Okay, down to Addy. Temporal Chaos, cost reduced. I'll tell you, I don't know what that does. I don't remember the names, guys. But there you go. It's cheaper. Perception, train time reduced. Physis Revenge, train time reduced. Okay, so like a lot of Leto buffs here. I've always liked this, especially classic age techs. We saw this with a bunch of techs that were just training too long, and then it just makes that option not viable. Now, I don't know whether that's necessarily the tech's training too long or the other issues in the game being that it's too quick to do other things like get heroic or get a town center up, right? But whatever it is, the relativity here has been balanced out. Tartgate now can be used over as Guardian Hill Forts. Yep, fair enough. Promethean, train time reduced. Okay. This is, I mean, I'm finding all these train time reduces very interesting because we had the villager train time increase. So this is going to be, yeah, this is going to, I'm just thinking about this, how this is going to feel. Yeah, we're going to have to play, aren't we, guys? We're going to have to, like, see how this one goes down because I'm wondering if the economy isn't going to be able to match any of this stuff. Okay, Caladria, increasing the hit points, making him a bit more tanky. Pacify ability, duration increased by, okay, cool, so scaling. So they're doing these ability scales with like the hit points and the attack that other myth units scale with as well. Makes sense. Limpedes, reducing their cost. We can see the trend here, guys. Argus, and then, yeah, Centimus. Yeah, okay. Oracle's cost reduced. Okay, nice. I always found them a little bit expensive, right? So that's fair enough. Destroyers, more bonus damage. That's fair enough. Fanatics, they're going to get the damage increase from 9 to 12. Bonus damage versus infantry. Okay, so they reduce the multiplier. And the bonus damage versus myth units reduce. Okay, so just like more general damage, right? I kind of like this. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Sounds interesting. Like I said, I'm not doing the math on the multipliers. It might be the same. You guys can work that one out. I'm just doing a bit more high level review here. Destroyers, yep. Fanatic, yep. Okay, these are the heroes. I see. And then these are the base fanatics. Okay, cool. Fireship. Okay, was done to match the output of the other hammer ships. Okay, yeah, fair. Yep. Building points for the palace. Yep, we've seen those. Chinese. Favor rate reduced for the first 750 tiles owned from. Guys, it's like 9:20 in the morning, and I've barely drank my coffee, so. I'll let you guys work that one out. Right. Chiyu, Son of Loon. No longer increases flash strike damage by 20 hack. Now gives Yazi 25% hack damage. Okay, so. Right. Is this just saying the like blip and fucking delete your villages is less, and now the little paw whack is a bit more? Fair. I guess the teleporting on villages and one-shotting them is I guess the gameplay we all strive to be part of, right? Rage of Slaughter. Man, aggressive names, eh? Research time reduced. Yep, like that. Cost reduced. Okay. I don't actually know what the tech does, guys. I'm going through the Chinese stuff, and I've never played them. So, lightning weapons. I know what that is. That's the god power. Reducing the time of it. That seems fair. I know it's been a little bit oppressive. They've also reduced a lot of these other god powers, so that's in line. Sinister defense. Armor vulnerability earned from nearby military units increased from 1% to 2% per unit. Maximum hack limit increased. Now applies to flying. I don't even know how to say that. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I'm kind of just flicking through these ones. Flaming blood, area radius increased from 3 to 4. Okay, now we're looking at the Yazi. Okay, this is kind of what I want to look at a bit more. Movement speed reduced, really good. It's a good start. 5.3. I'm trying to think what the other speeds are. Like, what's a Hero Terma Mamillo? What's a Hall of Thane's Hersa? Compare it to like a Valkyrie, Sphinx, like all of these kind of units. So I guess pulling it back is nice. Flash strike hack damage reduced from 15 to 10. Okay, so I think that's the special. The recharge time reduced from 20 to 18. So they've lowered the recharge but taken the damage away, and their PS armor's been reduced. Okay, cool. Aim to move some of the power from hit and run and more general combat brawler. Yeah, okay, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, these guys now also deal 6 crush and hack damage reduced. Make a little more of a siege weapon. I mean, yeah, I'm always down. I think gods in general, most gods in general, need a little more tools in the classical age. So yeah, if that's happening, no worries. Killing area heal now increased by 20% in heroic and mythic. I thought this unit was already ridiculous, but it's going in line with what the other ones. Okay, but then the heal rate's reduced. Cool. Okay, that's good. It did need something done about it. Max shields. Okay, yeah, they're all just buffing like the bonuses, the shielding, the healing, the abilities to scale with the other things they already increase them with units. Nuba, crush damage to 20. Cost reduced. Yeah, more myth unit. So yeah, I see. Fine damage increase, movement speed increase. Man, they're quite slow. Can now ground target the banish ability. I see. Right, white cavalry, train time reduced, tiger cav, yeah, okay, we see the trends here, guys. Okay, Kwafu, cost reduced. Okay, so it's a little bit cheaper on the favor, cool. A slight loss in favor in the early game, fair, yep, makes sense. Land radius reduced, ballet, yep, seen that before. Okay, cool, so that's a bit of a run through. I guess thoughts on it, moving in the right direction. There's a lot of changes in this patch. There's a lot of buffs to myth units, the fortress units, train times decrease, so maybe we're going to start seeing those open up into the game a bit more. I am interested to see how these train times and economy goes, obviously with this villager change. And yeah, overall a decent patch, guys. I think it's going to be an improvement from the last patch, which we can't say has happened every patch that's come out. So I think I'll jump on and test some games out, see how they go. Hopefully they go well. And then, I'd love to play some more ranked again. But yeah, unfortunately, I think I jumped on, played my first team game the other day on this patch, did some 3v3s, and it was it just was zero decision making made. It was just put up some town centers and then just sling units at each other with towers up. It was super boring. So yeah, hopefully we're going to move away from that. Now that, feels like bases can be touched, towers a little bit more expensive again, and so yeah, it'll be good. All right, guys. Well, look, thanks for listening. Hopefully you guys all enjoy the new patch, and of course, jump on our Discord, leave a comment. We love to talk about it. And yeah, get involved. Cheers, guys. Bye bye.